Today I'd like to talk a little bit about our federal campaign finance laws and the basics on how it allows the sort of corruption that it does in politics today. Now, we do have on the books campaign finance laws that limit and regulate how much money can be spent on politics and on candidates and causes. And they weren't perfect. They had their loopholes and stuff, but it was a lot better than we had now. It at least sort of pushed things underground and limited the sheer volume of monetary expenditure that could be pushed into politics. But if there were cracks left open in the door by those finance laws, then a court case called Citizens United, decided in 2010, just blew the hinges off the door. Essentially, what that court case decided was that monetary expenditure on political causes is protected as a right under the First Amendment. It also came to the conclusion that essentially corporations, and for that matter unions, counted as people in this scenario. So there you now technically, when a political campaign committee, that is the actual, technically what is the campaign for a certain candidate, can only collect so much money from any individual person or organization. But there is no limit to how much any person or organization can spend on efforts to advertise or elect the candidate. So there's a limit on how much they can give to the campaign, but there's not really a limit on how much they can actually help the campaign. So for example, we have this thing called super PACs, right? And anyone can give as much money as they want to a super PAC, and a super PAC can then go and run advertisements and advocate for a certain candidate or issue and spend as much money and time as they want doing that, far outstripping what the candidate could specifically do with their campaign account alone. And that's all legal as long as they technically don't coordinate directly with the campaign, which is, first of all, doesn't matter, and is second of all unenforceable, even if it did. A second form of PAC, which, by the way, a PAC is a political action committee. That's what they're called. They're these sort of monetary funds used to push either candidates or causes or ballot measures or anything like that. Now, a second form, and these aren't the only two forms, but they're kind of the easiest ones to get across, is called a leadership PAC. And a leadership PAC is essentially used to pay off campaign expenses for a certain candidate. And this can become very broad because candidates will oftentimes use this money for things that are not really bare bones necessary for their campaigns. Instead of reimbursing their mileage, they're paying for first class tickets. Instead of staying in a basic hotel while they're on the road at a campaign, they're staying in the nicest hotels, or they're going out golfing and spending that money on going golfing, or and any other sort of thing like that. Fine dining, you name it. They're using campaign funds and donations from corporate sponsors, and other individuals or organizations that want influence to kind of live it up. So that's one of the many ways that money creeps into politics, and it's completely legal currently. Now, the way that could be changed is, since it's decided in a court decision, either the case would have to be revisited and overturned, never going to happen, or it would require an amendment to the Constitution, which would have to essentially say, or have the effect that monetary expenditure on political causes isn't a protected First Amendment right. You know, it's not an extension of your voice. It's spending money on reach and influence that is not necessarily equally distributed to everyone in a way that's actually fair to the political system. Hey everyone, if you like what you see and I think I talk about the right issues, my name's Max Diaz. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives, South Carolina, District 1. If you want to keep track of me and see what I'm up to and keep track of the campaign, please, by all means, follow me on my social media accounts. I post updates there, and I post when I'm hosting events. If you want to just find out about a little more about me and about the campaign, please visit my website. That's probably the best resource at maxdiazforcongress.com. If you have any questions, you can always contact me on the contact methods I have on the website. Make sure you're civically engaged. Always go out and vote. Keep track of your local elections and candidates. You know, the best way to get a government that works for the people is to be involved from the bottom all the way up in the political process. That's really the important thing to do. Now, until next time, I wish you all the best.